Have you ever seen a house disappear right before your eyes? My HOA president, Linda, absolutely hated the color of my home. She despised my midnight blue paint so intensely that she threatened to foreclose on me if I didn't repaint it a bland beige. She waved the HOA rule book like a weapon, pointing to a clause that banned unapproved exterior colors. But Linda made one fatal oversight. She banned paint, but she said nothing about reflective surfaces. I decided to follow the rules in the most mischievous way possible by covering my entire house in mirrored panels. I thought it would be just a neat optical illusion until the sunlight hit it and turned my home into a literal death ray laser. You'll want to see what happens when Linda steps into the line of fire. Make sure you hit subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any of this chaos. It all began on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday afternoon, the kind that feels calm until someone ruins it. I had just completed a major exterior renovation, dropping nearly $8,000 to have my home professionally painted a breathtaking shade called Midnight Abyss. The deep, velvety blue looked incredible against the lush greenery of my yard. My neighbors gushed over it. Everyone except Linda. Linda isn't just another homeowner. She's the self-appointed queen of the HOA, patrolling the street armed with measuring tape and color swatch like a tyrant on a mission. I was standing in my driveway, admiring the freshly painted walls when I heard it, the dreaded click-click of her heels on the pavement. She stormed up, clipboard in hand, looking like she had just sniffed something rotten. She didn't greet me. She didn't ask how I was. "Alex," she hissed, her voice thick with disdain. "What is this?" She waved vaguely at the house. "It's blue, Linda," I said, trying to stay calm. "It's brand new." "It's not just blue," she snapped. "It's offensive, it's aggressive, and most importantly, it's a violation." She flipped open her enormous rule book to page 42. Rule 7, Section C. All exterior home colors must be earth tones or natural neutrals. "This smuff blue monstrosity does not fit the character of our neighborhood," she lectured. I tried reason. "Linda, blue is the color of the sky, the ocean. It's literally a natural color." She didn't care about logic. She cared about control. She tore an orange violation sticker from her clipboard and slapped it on my walls. "You have 7 days to repaint this house to desert beige or eggshell white," she threatened. "If not, I'll fine you $500 a day and place a lien on your property." I watched her storm off, a mix of humiliation and fury boiling inside me. Repainting the entire house? I couldn't afford it. I felt trapped. But later that night, buried in the rule book, I found a loophole. The rules banned paint pigments, but they said nothing about materials. That's when a wild idea hit me. If she couldn't control the color, I'd remove color entirely. I'd make my house mirror the natural surroundings she claimed to cherish. I went online and found high-polish architectural aluminum panels, lightweight, weatherproof sheets used on skyscrapers to reflect sunlight and heat, durable, sleek, and blindingly reflective. I ordered 2,000 square feet. When the truck delivered the panels a few days later, the driver stared in disbelief. "Are you building a solar farm or a giant disco ball?" he asked. I just grinned. "Something like that." I called up 3 of my closest friends, grabbed some beers and pizza, and we got to work. We grabbed a few cases of beer, ordered pizza, and got down to work. We treated it like a top-secret operation. Tarps went up so Linda couldn't sneak a peek until the big reveal. Installing the panels was tedious. Each shiny sheet had to be screwed directly over the wood siding, perfectly aligned. Working on them was disorienting. You'd look at a wall, and instead of seeing the house, you'd see your own reflection or the sky and trees behind you. We worked all weekend, day and night, and by Sunday evening, the transformation was complete. We pulled down the tarps, and even I wasn't ready for the sight or the lack of it. The house had vanished. From the street, the mirrored walls reflected the surrounding oak trees, shrubs, and skies so perfectly that the structure blended into the background like camouflage. It looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Technically, it was the most earth-tone house in the world. It literally reflected the earth itself. I stood there, exhausted but exhilarated. I had followed her rules to the letter. No unapproved paint, just pure nature. That night, I went to bed feeling like a genius, blissfully unaware that I had accidentally constructed a weapon of mass destruction. The next morning, the sun rose bright and clear. It was a kind of cloudless day that lifts your spirits. Except today, the sun was my accomplice. I was in the kitchen making coffee, peeking cautiously through the window, which was tricky because from the outside it blended seamlessly with the mirrors. At exactly 8 a.m., Linda came out for her daily power walk, visor in place, dumbbells in hand, ready to inspect whether I'd repainted. She stopped at the end of my driveway, removed her sunglasses, squinted, looked left, looked right. The expression on her face was priceless. She was searching for a house, but all she saw was a reflection of the forest. It was a flawless optical illusion. Tentatively, she stepped forward, hand outstretched, like a mime trying to find a wall. And then physics intervened. My front wall curves slightly, almost like a bay window. As the sun climbed higher, it hit the mirror panels at the perfect angle. Instead of scattering light, the curve concentrated all the beams into a single blazing point of light, like a 2-story magnifying glass aimed directly at Linda's house. The intensity was unbearable. Heat waves shimmered in the air. Linda was still frozen on my lawn, screaming, "Where's the house? What kind of trick is this?" She didn't realize the temperature on her front porch had skyrocketed above 400 degrees Fahrenheit. A strange, chemical smell drifted across the street. Burning vinyl, melting plastic, scorched Tupperware. "Linda!" I shouted, sprinting outside. "Turn around!" She spun, screaming, and that's when the damage became terrifyingly visible. Her cheap vinyl siding warped and melted, dripping down like molten candle wax. Plastic shutters curled, fell off, and her mailbox slumped in agony. Her welcome mat smoldered, then burst into tiny flames. She tried to reach for the garden hose, but the heat wave pushed her back like an invisible wall. She retreated to the street, helpless, watching her home liquefy. The fire department arrived minutes later, sirens blaring. Even the firefighters were baffled. Hoses sprayed, but there were no flames, only dripping plastic goo. The chief aimed a thermal camera at my house. "It's the reflection," he shouted. "The neighbor's house is acting like a solar death ray." They had to drape massive tarps over my mirrors just to halt the melting. After the chaos, Linda stood covered in soot, her face red with fury. "I'm suing you. You burned down my house. You're going to jail," she screamed. She was dead wrong. When lawyers and insurance adjusters investigated, I produced a violation notice she had issued me. I argued that I was forced to cover the paint because of her threats. I didn't create the sun. I hadn't broken any laws. It was nature doing its thing. The HOA board, fearing a colossal counter lawsuit, ruled in my favor. Linda's insurance paid for repairs but labeled her house high risk, tripling her premiums. I eventually removed the mirrors, mostly to avoid accidentally roasting the mailman. But for one glorious day, I was untouchable. Linda never uttered a word about my paint, my grass, or my trash cans ever again. If you want, I can move on to part 3 next and rewrite in the same style, keeping the suspense and over-the-top humor intact. Do you want to do that?